High self-esteem, the key to success or a risk for failure? Is high self-esteem the factor that helps you achieve great success, or is it something that hinders your progress towards your goals? Have you ever wondered if your strong sense of self might help you advance, or simply keep you stuck in avoidable mistakes? Today, we'll explore a controversial question: high self-esteem, a weapon for success or a cause of failure? Self-esteem or self-respect is a critical factor in building confidence and facing challenges. When we have self-esteem, we are less likely to be overwhelmed by criticism or judgment from others. High self-esteem not only helps us believe in ourselves, but it also serves as a solid foundation for building success in both work and life. However, high self-esteem is not just about being proud of oneself. It is the ability to understand one's value, maintain belief in oneself in all situations, and face difficulties without being defeated. High self-esteem often involves setting high standards for oneself and never compromising on anything less than what one deserves. A person with high self-esteem will never accept being treated poorly. They have the strength to stand up for themselves, defend their rights, and not let others or circumstances diminish their sense of worth. Like the great figures in history, they did not allow themselves to be influenced by criticism or doubt from others. They knew exactly who they were and where they were headed, and this was one of the factors that helped them build remarkable success. You probably still remember the story of Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, one of the people with the highest self-esteem in the tech world. In the early years of building Apple, Jobs faced many challenges and difficulties, but he never lost faith in himself or his products. He always asserted the value of his ideas and defended his views. In one interview, Jobs shared, "Always have the courage to follow your own path. Don't let others' voices steer you off course." Because of his high self-esteem and strong belief in himself, Jobs kept innovating and creating. He transformed Apple from a small company into a tech empire, bringing millions of innovative products to the world. Self-esteem not only helped Steve Jobs reach success, but it also helped him maintain confidence throughout his challenging journey. Without high self-esteem, Jobs might have easily given up when faced with criticism or failure. However, he overcame every difficulty, stayed true to his belief in his product, and continued to persevere, ultimately achieving the success that the world admires. Another example of high self-esteem in a career is the story of Oprah Winfrey, one of the most successful women in television history. Oprah endured a childhood filled with hardship and challenges, but it was her high self-esteem that helped her overcome them all. Moreover, self-esteem helped Oprah maintain her dignity throughout her career. She once said, "No one can diminish your worth, except you." These words reflect the determination and confidence Oprah maintained throughout her journey. Despite facing many challenges in life and work, she never let external factors diminish her self-respect. This self-respect helped Oprah build a television empire and become a global icon. Self-esteem also helps us maintain perseverance and determination in all situations. When you have high self-esteem, you won't easily be shaken by failure. Instead of becoming discouraged and giving up, someone with high self-esteem will see failure as an opportunity to learn and grow. A prime example of this is Thomas Edison. Edison faced thousands of failures before inventing the electric light bulb, but he never gave up and didn't allow failure to diminish his sense of self-worth. He once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." It was his self-esteem and belief in himself that kept Edison persevering throughout his journey to find a solution. Ultimately, he succeeded and created inventions that changed the world. Self-esteem is not only a driving force for personal success, but can also positively influence those around us. A person with high self-esteem will always know how to treat others with respect. When you know how to love and respect yourself, you will also know how to love and respect those around you. High self-esteem helps you build good relationships and positively impact the community. Psychological studies also show that high self-esteem helps us maintain calmness and confidence in stressful situations. Dr. Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence, pointed out that people with high self-esteem tend to have better emotional management skills and cope more effectively with stress. They are not heavily affected by criticism or difficult situations. Instead, they use their confidence and determination to overcome them. However, confidence doesn't always help us achieve everything we want if we don't maintain a humble attitude. High self-esteem sometimes needs to be paired with self-awareness and the ability to accept mistakes and learn from failures. Excessive arrogance will only make us stubborn and unwilling to change. Therefore, self-esteem is not about self-satisfaction, but about understanding our value and continuously improving ourselves. This is also reflected in the story of Elon Musk, founder of Tesla and SpaceX. Musk is a person with high self-esteem and always believes in his abilities. However, Musk also knows how to listen and learn from his mistakes. He has faced many failures in his career, but his self-esteem kept him from giving up. Musk shared, "Failure is part of the learning and growth process. Without failure, you can't know what you need to improve." It is the combination of self-esteem and the ability to learn from mistakes that has helped Musk achieve great success in the automotive and aerospace industries. Self-esteem is an essential element in building success. It helps us stay committed to our goals, face challenges head-on, and always believe in ourselves. However, for self-esteem to truly become a weapon for success, we need to maintain self-awareness and the ability to listen and learn from others. Only then will self-esteem help us continuously grow and achieve great accomplishments in life. High self-esteem, a cause of failure. Self-esteem is an important part of personal development, helping us maintain confidence and determination. However, like any quality in life, self-esteem can also become a double-edged sword. While it can be a powerful motivator that helps us face challenges and achieve success, when excessive or unchecked, high self-esteem can lead to unwanted consequences, even failure. When self-esteem goes too far, we can become stubborn, unwilling to listen to advice from others, and most importantly, overlook opportunities to learn and grow. This will make it difficult for us to adapt to change and make wise decisions. One of the most famous stories of failure due to excessive self-esteem is Blockbuster, an empire in the video rental industry. Throughout the 90s, Blockbuster was a household name with its massive network of video and DVD rental stores. However, as the market evolved and streaming services like Netflix began to emerge, Blockbuster failed to recognize this shift and continued to maintain its old business model. Blockbuster didn't believe that customers would switch to streaming services and persisted with its physical store system. They even declined an offer to collaborate with Netflix when the company proposed the idea of online video rentals. The simple reason was that Blockbuster was too complacent with its current success and didn't want to change. They believed their model was irreplaceable, and the company's self-esteem regarding its extraordinary growth blinded them to the market changes. By the time they realized the shift, it was too late. Netflix had taken over the market, and Blockbuster quickly became a name only remembered by those who experienced the golden age of the video rental industry. Blockbuster wasn't the only company to fail because of excessive self-esteem. Kodak is also a prime example of rejecting change due to complacency with its success. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Kodak was a leading name in the photography industry. They held a massive market share with popular and well-known film cameras. However, as digital technology began to advance rapidly, Kodak failed to recognize the threat posed by this change. Kodak refused to develop and market digital cameras, even though they were the ones who first invented the technology. They believed film cameras would dominate for many decades to come and didn't see the need to change their strategy. Their self-esteem regarding the success of their current products made them conservative, unwilling to listen to the market, and failed to adapt in time. Thus, self-esteem can lead to significant failures if we do not know how to control it and understand the value of change. The stories of Blockbuster and Kodak are clear examples showing that excessive self-esteem can hinder growth and stifle innovation. When we become too proud of what we've accomplished, we may overlook opportunities to develop and improve ourselves. This leads to stubbornness, a refusal to listen to differing opinions, and an unwillingness to change, even though the external environment has evolved dramatically. Additionally, one of the major issues that high self-esteem can cause is a lack of flexibility in thinking. People with excessively high self-esteem sometimes feel that they don't need to change their views, and any criticism or advice from others is seen as a challenge or an offense to their self-worth. This can lead them to refuse to learn, reject differences, and become unable to grow. A person with overly high self-esteem may become rigid, believing only in their own perspective without recognizing external factors. Another typical example is the failure of leaders in large companies when they become too steadfast in their opinions and strategies. Sometimes they believe they are always right and refuse to listen to alternative views, even if those views could benefit the company. This is one of the factors that causes many large companies to struggle in maintaining innovation and sustainable growth. This can be clearly seen in cases of CEOs or leaders who are overconfident in their strategies, sometimes even ignoring the advice of experts or experienced associates. They may assume they know better than anyone else and refuse to adjust their strategy or change their working methods when necessary. One manifestation of this is failing to listen to subordinates, rejecting critical feedback, and sticking to decisions without changing, even though the situation has shown those decisions are no longer suitable. When a person is overly self-important and arrogant, they also tend to fail to recognize when they are wrong. This causes them to lack the ability to self-evaluate and correct their mistakes. People around them, even those with good intentions, will find it hard to reach them and help them change. Therefore, high self-esteem without self-awareness can create many risks during personal growth. However, this does not mean that we should lower our self-esteem. Self-esteem is still important, but it needs to be maintained in a healthy and balanced way. The key is to be aware of our limitations and accept change when necessary. Self-esteem should not be an invisible wall that prevents us from learning from others or seeing changes in our environment. Self-esteem should be a combination of self-respect and the ability to recognize and learn from mistakes and the experiences of others. The key to maintaining balanced self-esteem is flexibility in thinking. A person with high self-esteem but also humility will always seek opportunities to learn and grow. They understand that change is an essential part of development and are never afraid of change if it helps them progress. Ultimately, self-esteem can only become a tool for success when we know how to combine it with humility, a willingness to learn, and the ability to adapt. Self-esteem is not arrogance, but the ability to understand and accept oneself while knowing when to change, adjust, and learn from others. When we achieve this, self-esteem will truly become a weapon that helps us achieve sustainable success in life and work. Self-esteem can be a powerful resource, but if not controlled properly, it can become a cause of failure. Keep your self-esteem, but also know when to change and learn from your mistakes. By doing so, you will maintain your confidence while not missing opportunities for growth. Balancing self-esteem. Self-esteem is an essential factor in building confidence and success. It helps us maintain belief in ourselves and create strong motivation to achieve significant goals in life. However, if self-esteem is not controlled and maintained properly, it can easily turn into arrogance, stubbornness, and harm relationships, even causing us to miss out on important opportunities. Therefore, finding the balance between maintaining self-esteem and accepting change is crucial for achieving sustainable success. True self-esteem is when we know who we are and respect our own value, but at the same time we must maintain humility and be open to learning from those around us. It is self-awareness, understanding our strengths and weaknesses without letting pride influence every decision. However, many people struggle to maintain this balance, especially when they experience early success, and self-esteem becomes too large a factor in how they perceive themselves. High self-esteem, but not arrogance. We are all taught to respect ourselves, set high standards, and not accept compromises for what we deserve. But this doesn't mean that we should overestimate our abilities and disregard others' perspectives or advice. Having high self-esteem without humility can easily lead us to become arrogant and miss opportunities to learn and improve ourselves. One of the clearest examples of a lack of balance in self-esteem is the story of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had incredibly strong self-esteem and built Apple from the ground up. However, his confidence was not always a factor that led to his success. In the early years, Jobs was so overconfident that he refused to listen to ideas from his colleagues, especially during difficult times for Apple. He even dismissed the co-founders of Apple, which ultimately led to his firing from the company he founded. Although Jobs had a great deal of self-respect, his arrogance prevented him from realizing that he could be wrong and needed to learn from others. After returning to Apple in 1997, Jobs realized that his success did not only come from his personal abilities, but also from knowing how to listen and learn from those around him. He began focusing on building a strong team and listening to the input of his associates. This change helped Apple grow exponentially and become one of the world's leading tech companies. Jobs' story shows that self-esteem, when maintained properly, can lead to success. But when excessive and lacking humility, it can cause us to miss opportunities to learn and grow. Listening and learning. An important factor in maintaining the balance between self-esteem and humility is the ability to listen and learn from others. Self-esteem does not mean that we should avoid taking in others' opinions. On the contrary, A person with true self-esteem will realize that listening and learning from those around them helps them improve themselves. Humility in accepting others' viewpoints is the key to our development. We've likely heard Warren Buffett's advice. Always seek out people who are smarter than you and listen to them. This is golden advice. People with high self-esteem not only respect themselves, but also respect differing ideas and opinions. Listening and learning from experienced individuals help them continually improve and make wiser decisions. However, listening and learning does not mean that we must completely change our views or blindly follow others. Humility in learning is recognizing that we don't know everything and that we can always learn from others. When we maintain a proper level of self-esteem, we know how to evaluate and select good ideas and integrate them into our work and lives. The combination of self-esteem and humility. To achieve a balance between self-esteem and humility, we need to combine them harmoniously. Self-esteem gives us confidence and belief in our abilities, while humility helps us realize that no one is perfect, and we can always learn and improve. If we have high self-esteem but lack humility, we can easily become trapped in our ego and unable to change. On the other hand, if we lack self-esteem, we will struggle to build solid successes, as a lack of confidence prevents us from facing challenges. Another example of this combination is the story of Elon Musk. Musk is someone with high self-esteem and always believes in his abilities. However, Musk is also very humble in learning from his failures and mistakes. He views his failures as opportunities to learn and improve. Once, when discussing his failure in developing spacecraft, Musk shared, "Failure is part of the learning and development process. If you don't fail, you won't know where you need to improve." It is this combination of self-esteem and humility that has helped Musk achieve great accomplishments in the tech and space industries, creating change from within. One of the key elements in maintaining this balance is the need to create change from within. True self-esteem must come from self-awareness. We need to understand our value, but we also need to recognize our weaknesses and shortcomings. This helps us not only be proud of what we have, but also continuously find ways to improve and perfect ourselves. If self-esteem is only based on pride and external accomplishments without self-awareness, we can easily become complacent and stop growing. Maintaining the balance between self-esteem and humility is not easy. It requires alertness, the ability to self-assess, and a willingness to change. But when we achieve this, we will develop a healthy attitude towards life, capable of facing challenges and overcoming difficulties without losing our true identity. Self-esteem and humility are not opposing factors. They complement each other, helping us build a confident, strong person who is always open to learning. So, what do you think about the balance between self-esteem and success? Can high self-esteem really be a powerful weapon to help you reach new heights, or could it become a barrier that prevents you from developing? We are always taught to be confident and respect ourselves, but when self-esteem crosses the line, could it make us become stubborn and resistant to change? Share your thoughts in the comments below this video. Have you ever felt that your self-esteem was an advantage or a hindrance in your life? Let's discuss and find ways to keep self-esteem in balance for stronger growth.